Hi, this is Real Royal Mail, and I'm Peter.
I would like to show you an interesting item from my collection. It's a letter from Queen Alexandra, wife of King Edward VII. She was born in Copenhagen, Denmark in 1844, coming from the house of Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg-Glücksburg. She later became a princess of Denmark, and her father became King of Denmark in 1863. The same year, Alexandra married Albert Edward, son of Queen Victoria. And when Victoria, her mother-in-law, died in 1901, her husband became King Edward VII and Alexandra his queen consort. This letter was written by Alexandra in 1911. Her husband had died the year before. Alexandra now was a widow, a queen dowager. This is why it has black margins. It's a mourning envelope she used after the death of her husband. Have a look at the cover and the beautiful and very distinctive handwriting of Alexandra. The letter is addressed to Sir Henry Burdett, a very interesting gentleman I will come back to afterwards. Now the envelope. It was postmarked at Sandringham, the royal residence in Norfolk. The postmark reads "Official Paid" and it's in red. This text and the color red show that no postage stamps are needed. It's official mail and it's free of postage. The postmark also reads RSO. That means Railway Sub-Office. This is a post office which received mail directly from a rail source, without having sent the mail to a larger sorting office first. The concept of these railway sub-offices was ended in 1905, but these postmarks were used until the 1920s. But this royal post office was open from 8 in the morning until midnight, so it's not unusual to have a letter posted in the evening. The letter was sent registered, so it bears a registered label as well. This is a very special label, it's called D-label. This was only used in very small branches. The postmaster had to stamp it with a postmark with the date block removed. Such a label from Sandringham is quite rare, and not known in the Royal Household Mail Handbook of the author Glenn H. Morgan. But let's not overlook this little rubber stamp. It reads GRV. That's George's Rex, and the V is the Roman numeral for 5, so it's King George V. We remember King Edward VII died in 1910, the year before, and Edward's and Alexandra's son George became king as George V. This is the so-called Royal Monogram certifying stamp. It was used by members of the royal household to show that their mail was free of postage. Here you see other letters bearing such certifying stamps, posted in Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle and Balmoral Castle in Scotland. 2 are written by Queen Mary, and this one by King George himself. Now back to the letter of Queen Alexandra. On reverse there's more to see. A third postmark of Sandringham, a black one, and an oval registered postmark of King's Lynn, a larger town nearby, and finally the black wax seal of Queen Alexandra. So this is the letter which was inside, also written in the hand of the Queen. It's her personal mourning stationery of Sandringham, Norfolk, and it bears her monogram, the 2 A's. A monogram she used for a longer time. I just saw this little pillbox in an auction. It's Alexandra's, also with this beautiful monogram. Now here's what she has written.
Dear Sir Henry, I have received your letter and a statement about our great and good Miss Nightingale's memorial. I had no idea that it was at a standstill and the funds not covering it, to perpetuate the memory of the nation's benefactress of suffering humanity. It would be indeed deplorable and a disgrace to see all who owe her such a debt of gratitude. I enclose £100, and believe me, yours very sincerely, Alexandra.
So what is this about? It's about a memorial for Florence Nightingale. Who was Florence Nightingale? Florence Nightingale, born in 1820, was the founder of modern nursing, known as the Lady with the Lamp, making rounds of wounded soldiers at night, she became an icon of Victorian culture. We can still hear her voice in this fascinating recording of 1890. Here she was referring to the town of Balaclava and the Crimean War, where in 1854 she and the staff of 38 women were caring for the wounded soldiers. Florence Nightingale, aged 90, died on 13th August 1910. And who was Henry Burdett? Henry Burdett, born 1847, was a private banker and philanthropist. He started his business career as a bank clerk, later supported nursing, and in 1884 helped to establish the British Hospitals Association's BHA. He was made a Knight Commander of the Order of the Bath by Queen Victoria in the 1897 Diamond Jubilee Honours, being proposed by the Prince of Wales, later King Edward VII, and Alexandra's husband, in this letter, which happens to be in my collection as well. So back to Queen Alexandra's letter. We're digging into the Times' archive to search for news coverage on what the Queen is referring to. There we find there was a kind of dispute about the memorial. On 18th October 1911, there was a small text in the Times about the meeting of the General Committee of the Florence Nightingale Memorial Fund. They only had collected £2,800, which wasn't enough for the memorial. At that meeting, Sir Henry Burdett said, according to the newspaper, he refused to believe that more money could not be obtained. And obviously, he also turned to Queen Alexandra, who was engaged in charities very much, and highly estimated Florence Nightingale and her achievements. And Sir Henry was successful. In the letter, he was reassured by the Queen about her support for the memorial, and she also sent him £100, a large sum in 1911. But it took 2.5 more years before the statue of Nightingale finally was set up. This is the Times of 25th February 1915. The Florence Nightingale Memorial in Waterloo Place was unveiled without any ceremony yesterday morning. The site was deserted, the statue covered with snow. Ladders were placed against it. The men shook the snow from the covering, pulled the cords, and disclosed the figure, and then departed as quietly as they came. So this is the whole story of this letter, written by Queen Alexandra. Fascinating, isn't it?
That's it. Thanks for watching, and if you like it, you may follow me on Twitter @RealRoyalMail.